Welcome to Technically Short. You know us. I'm Sean.
I'm Thomas.
And today's episode is... Qualities of Excellence.
There we go. Qualities of Excellence. This is the third installment in our Excellence series called Perfectly Imperfect. If you have not listened to the previous two episodes, first with Michaela Mosley, the next one was Josh Baylog. I'm sorry, I know so many Joshes. Sorry, Josh. Josh Baylog. And both those episodes were fantastic. And honestly, they both had different perspectives on excellence, but at the same time, they lined up with each other.
Absolutely.
And so now we're coming in here to also talk about excellence. Not from our perspective, yes, but from a different angle as well.
Absolutely.
And then really good. Our goal is to then we'll have next week. The idea is to have another guest on that you guys will be able to get a lot from.
You guys will love this guest.
No spoilers though.
No spoilers.
Just expectations. So all right, Sean. So why don't you start us off?
Okay. Well, for first, the definition of excellence is the quality of being outstandingly good or extremely good. So as we're about to dive deep into this, I'm going to tell you why excellence is so important. Okay? So with excellence period, because excellence is good. I don't even have to say good excellence. That sounds stupid. With excellence, you gain influence, it causes growth, and it changes others. So should I dive into the qualities of excellence?
Well, first I want to I'll talk on, you gave that definition. Yeah. I'm going to give John Maxwell's definition.
Yeah.
Because they do go hand in hand, but John Maxwell, I think he makes a lot of things more concise. And excellence is the gap between average and exceptional. It's the ability to exceed expectations. That's one of the qualities. The ability to exceed expectations and consistently deliver superior quality. Because with excellence, with everything that you do, there is a result of the things that you do. So the things that you do with excellence, if you're striving for that excellence, or as Michaela said in her episode, that you strive to seek for what God's calling you to be excellent at, or what God's calling you to be excellent with in your ministry. The ability to exceed expectations and consistently deliver superior quality. So what is that? So what could that superior quality be, right?
Yeah.
The superior quality because anything you do has a result. So, and that result is either going to have a good or a bad quality.
True.
So it's not black and white there. You can have, whatever range you want to put on it, but it's all determined by how well you do it. The result, and this is something I learned from James Clear. Then I'll let you go into your thing.
Yeah.
Into the qualities that you have on there. James Clear started reading with Andrew Rigato, which you heard recently, which you heard on here a couple times. James Clear says, "Oh man, I just lost it." Oh my gosh.
You want me to look at it?
No, you're good. Yeah. Dang it. Crap. Go ahead, take it, Sean.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to cut this.
For a second, guys. All right. The qualities of excellence that I believe are needed for something to be excellent, it requires honesty, humility, discipline, conviction, consistency, courage, love, sacrifice, and influence. So, to be excellent, in my eyes, the only way you can ever be excellent, you have to be honest. You have to have humility, because you have to be able to be like, okay, what do I need to work on? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? But that takes a person who's humble and teachable. Actually, I'll put teachable as well. Consistency. You need to be consistent if you want to do anything excellent. It has to be consistent. Discipline. You're gonna have to say no to things that you don't want to say no to, because that's part of being excellent. Conviction. You have to stand on what you believe, or about what you're about to do, or whatever product you're about to do, or service, or who you are. consistency has to be one of the most important qualities of excellency, but courage too. And you have to love whatever you're doing, because if you love whatever you're doing or find love in it, then honestly the sacrifice for it means that much more, and the influence you will influence after everything is done, when excellence is performed, influence naturally takes its course. So those were the qualities, I believe.
Yeah, that's good. I think, and you mentioned consistency there, and that was, I mean, something that John mentioned, and also I remembered what James Clear says in his book. The whole book is called Atomic Habits, and John Maxwell talks about excellence with consistency, which means excellence is something you practice. Right. It's a habit that's a habit. And James Clear says everything that you do, the results are lag behind your habits. So, like he gives some examples of, like, you lose weight. You losing weight is a lagging result of going to the gym, of your habit of going to the gym and working out. Having financial freedom is a lagging, or a lack of financial freedom is the lagging result of your spending or financial habits.
So true.
So it's all about not just being consistent, but it's about being consistent in the right things.
So good.
It's being consistently excellent, which sounds, like, I say it out loud and it sounds very daunting. And it's not saying you have to be perfect. That's not a criteria for excellence. Because if you expect to be perfect every time, you're going to disappoint yourself a lot.
Right.
But if you're consistently working on improving yourself and how can you intentionally grow? Because excellence, another thing that John Maxwell says about excellence is that it exceeds expectations. You have the ability to exceed expectations.
Absolutely.
And sorry if I just made a hard pivot. I feel like I did, but
no, I think it's good.
But then he goes on to say, but you cannot exceed the expectations if you do not know what the expectations are. So now we're talking about the qualities of excellence.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say this real quick. So whenever you want to, like, practice excellence in an area, you have to understand what the expectations are. And if you don't know what the expectations are of yourself, maybe it's in your job, maybe it's in a volunteer position, maybe it's just, maybe you want to be excellent with something that you're doing for yourself. You want to be excellent at the gym. What are the expectations in those areas? And how do you find those out? And those answers can be different in many different ways. But really what it comes down to is asking the right people.
True.
And it goes along with what you said as well, Sean, about being teachable.
Yeah.
You wrote that down. You thought about that as you were reading them out. Because if you're not teachable, then, like, there's so much wisdom around you that maybe you're not seeing. But if you're not teachable, then you probably think you already know all there is to know.
So good.
So, and if you're no, so that means, in my opinion, if you think you know all the things that there are to know, then you aren't excellent. You aren't striving for excellence because there's nothing to strive for.
Oh, that's good too. That is definitely good. And you're 100% right. I feel like what you said, Thomas, was so wise, because, to be honest, that goes back to what I was saying earlier too, about being humility and having discipline. Because it's like, if you're not humble enough to know that I could be better, then you obviously think you are the best already. And exactly what you said, Thomas, if you think you're the best, you're not going to be excellent, because excellence is growth. Excellence is influence. Excellence is sacrifice, consistency, courage, love, discipline, and teachable. Like, you have to do all these things to equal one thing, and that is excellence.
Another quality I just thought of.
Yeah.
Humbleness.
Yes. Ooh, good stuff.
And I got that whenever you said, what was that last quality you said? My train of thought gets backtracked a lot.
Was it humility, discipline?
Oh, you said humility. Well, humility, humbleness, they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But let's expand on that one.
Yeah.
Like humbleness, like you said, like you think if you think you're the best at everything, or you think you're the best, well then again, like you said, there's nothing to, like we said before, like there's nothing to move up to. There's no area for growth if you already feel like you're at the top. And a lot of times with like we've talked about leadership before on here. Whenever you're at the top, typically you want to go back down to the bottom and help other people up.
Yeah.
You want to it's what the Bible says: the first shall be last, and the last shall be first.
So good.
And with excellence, like you're like, what are you going to be excellent in? I think a lot of times excellence is when you strive to serve, right?
I'm writing that down.
Like, and to those like that might not make sense to some people, and like, or maybe that sounded a little odd. So let me explain. What I mean by striving to serve, or first shall be last and last shall be first, is like if you've already gone and you've accomplished these things that you set out for. You've accomplished some goals. You've been striving for excellence. You're continuously making yourself better. What good is it if you're not giving that to others? If you're not helping others understand how to do the same? Not saying you have to be a coach. Not saying you have to not saying you have to be a coach. But honestly, I believe people that strive for excellence inherently attract people to them.
Absolutely.
John Maxwell mentioned, I don't think it was his phrase, but he's mentioned becoming a people magnet. And the people that become the people magnet are the people that are striving for that excellence and growing themselves every single day. Because excellence isn't just a one-time process and then you hit. It's not that just a process where you start at 0 and get to 100.
Right.
It's a daily thing you have to practice, and it never stops.
I agree. Honestly, I feel like I love that 0 to 100 thing. I feel like when you go from range of excellence, it should be starting at 0, going to 1, going to 2, going to 3, and then at the end of your life, it should get to closest to 100 you can possibly get. I do like that. Like, it's a constant process of saying, okay, what do I need to work on? Okay, how can I improve? Okay, how can I help others? Okay, what can I do to serve? Okay, how can I be a better leader? Okay, how can I bring others to be leaders? Like, it's a process of continuing and growing and growing and growing until the end. And then you're able to just, when you're all done in life, a person who is excellent, brought others to be excellent, leads others to lead others to excellency. So like, it's like a generational wealth of excellency. So yeah, that's where I love that analogy. You said 0 to 100, and now it's visual, because I'm a very visual person. So in my head, it just went like 0, and then like starting today, and then try to tomorrow to be number 1, and just go to the next day and just try your best to keep improving in all the qualities that's why it's so important to be humble. Yeah. Like you said, Thomas, because if you think you have it all, you will never grow. But if you don't have it all, you can grow in the areas that you're weak in.
And like, this hit me, like you said, like by the end of your life, you should be close to 100, but you won't be at 100.
Yeah.
So what is 100? What's 100%? And I'm going to ask you, like, I'm asking you directly, like as a listener, like what is 100% to you? What does that look like? Because if the 100%, your 100% could honestly be extreme undervalue. You could be thinking the 100% you're striving for is a lot more valuable than it actually is. And because as Christians, we believe being 100% is being exactly like Jesus, essentially.
Yes.
Be as close to God as we can get. Being God, that's 100%. And we can never be that.
Right.
We're never going to be that.
Right.
But we strive on a daily basis to get closer to Him. Yeah. To grow closer to Him. To be excellent like He is.
Absolutely.
And
That's so good.
I'm on fire right now because like this has been something like James Clear in his book again. He talks about 1% gains. And the whole concept of atomic habits is that it's the small, minute things that you do on a daily basis that end up giving you this great, amazing result.
It's good.
And if you think about it, he goes, if you look through all of these different things in your life that might not even seem to be related, but you make a 1% gain every single day. Not all of them, but not all of them every single day. But you make a 1% gain in some area of your life every single day, that's going to continuously add up at an exponential rate. And he has some graphs in his book. So what exponential rate means, that means the line isn't straight.
Ooh,
it's not linear. It's not a linear path that you would expect. It actually grows on a curve. And it's also not a curve that you would expect. It's not like an up curve. It's not like it starts at the bottom and it slowly starts curving upwards, and then you'll hit a peak, and then when you hit that peak, you'll start shooting up.
Oh, that's good.
Like if you know how bamboo grows. You know how bamboo grows, Sean?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. Well, bamboo, first thing it does, it takes years. It'll grow a network. I think it takes years. Don't quote me. Well, now it's quoted. But it'll take a very long time. It'll create a network of roots underground first. It will create a network of widespread roots so we can get as much nutrients as possible for that one season, where it will then take I can't remember the time frame, but essentially within days, I say days to weeks, it shoots up 90 feet.
It reminds me of that super bloom.
Yep, exactly.
That is like crazy to think about how God does stuff.
And it's like, it's growing its network. It's growing its network of roots. It's getting the nutrients. It's slowly doing this work that nobody sees. And then one day, it looks like that overnight success. And this isn't from me. This isn't from me. This I'm getting from other people. This stuff is wisdom I get from other people. And I can just give it to others. This is the point of the podcast.
That is so good. Because that's almost like what God does to us.
Right.
It's the ones who've been working diligently without being seen, the ones working really hard behind the scenes, and they're working really hard, and they have a humble heart, and they're consistency, and they're sacrificing their time, and they're becoming a wonderful leader. And honestly, those are the same people who always become excellent.
Yeah.
It's behind the scenes. I love how you said they're developing the roots for a very long time. And then the foundation, and then boom, all that consistency eventually pays off. All that hard work eventually pays off. All that sacrifice, it eventually pays off. And that is so good, Thomas. I love that. Honestly, like, it shoots up. There's this thing called a super bloom. We were just on a super bloom fast, I'd say like 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah. And,
so we fasted for 7 days. And the reason why we did that is because, there's a super bloom. What a super bloom is areas like California and other desert areas, there's seeds in the ground, a whole bunch of them, but they don't grow. And then all of a sudden, they all bloom at the same exact time. And that's what a super bloom is. Like, they weren't growing, but then all of a sudden, they all grow at the same time. So it's like they were just there. Mm-hmm. But in the process of all of them being there, when nobody was knowing, was they were about to do something that exceeded expectation. And that's the bloom all at the same time.
That's good. That's really good. I think let's go into that. I think that's I wanted to pause there for a second because I feel like there's some people need to process.
Yeah, that was really good.
Because I feel like let's move off of that because that's a part. Because I feel like we've said a lot, but I was reading off your list that you have written down, and you have written down conviction.
Yeah,
being convicted. Not convicted, but having conviction.
Yeah.
That's another quality of excellence. So expand on that a little bit.
okay, for to be excellent, it's like some of the future episodes. I mean, not future episodes, past episodes we talked about, like healthy rejection.
Yeah.
There's some times where something can even be good that you have to say no to, but for the bad stuff, you definitely have to say no to. So like that will destroy your excellency.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, like if you're trying to make $1 million, then the best way you can make $1 million is to increase your money, right? So what would decrease your money that you would need to eliminate would be the conviction. Like it'd be like, okay, I cannot be spending unwisely because I'm trying to make $1 million.
Yeah.
If that was their scenario, right? So you're not going to go out there and buy a ridiculous amount of cars with ridiculous interest rates or buy a house that you can't afford yet if you're trying to make $1 million. If you say, okay, I just want these things, and you let your desires overcome your vision,
Yeah.
then you will destroy excellency. So like if you let your, like my favorite quotes from my mentor say, don't trade your bowl of soup for your blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like in the Bible, Esau, God had given him, he was firstborn, so he gets the birthright, which is the blessing, which means you get to inherit all the stuff when your parents and stuff pass away, right? So it's everything. You get the blessing of God, and you get, not only do you get God's blessing, but you get all the stuff that you're about to inherit from family, right? So that's how the birthright works. Esau was hungry one day, and his brother Jacob, which Jacob means deceive, his brother Jacob knew that, but Esau was out there hardly working, and he didn't give himself time to rest, and so he's hungry. And when you're hungry, you make some crazy decisions to feed your desire, right? So he's hungry, and in this analogy, and in this story, Jacob goes to his brother and says, I'll cook you something to eat, but you gotta give me this birthright. And Esau is like, man, I'll give you my birthright. I'm just hungry, man. Just give me something to eat. And in reality, we do this so often in life. We trade our desires instead of getting our vision, right? Like, or what we want to do, our life, our purpose, our goal, or thing that will make us excellent. We'll trade that for something temporary. Mm-hmm. And conviction says, no, I cannot do that. A person who has conviction says, I'm not doing that regardless.
Right. No, that's good. I think like it goes again back to James Clear. He talks about the opposite essentially of the good habits, where if you're making the good choices every single day, but if you're in it, it's just as hard as it is to create a new habit. It's just as hard to break an old one, and if not harder to break an old habit. I would say they're about the same. I'd say it's harder to break a habit than to start a new one. Because it's so hard, and that's maybe my opinion. That might be close to the same. But if you continuously go down the path of the bad habits instead of exponentially growing, you're going to, like, from that, you'll maybe you start a little bit higher than zero, but if you continuously do that negative 1% loss instead of a 1% gain every single day, you will get as close to zero as you can get.
That's so true.
So, like, if you think about it from that perspective, like, I'm going to ask you guys another question. What are the habits in your life that are hurting you? What are the good habits that you could start that would help you strive for excellence and seek excellence out? And another thing you mentioned, Sean, you mentioned desire.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it in a way where, and you're not wrong with what you said, but you mentioned it in a way to make it sound like desire is bad.
Yeah.
Which it's not.
It's not.
The starting, this is, I have another quote, an actual quote this time from Napoleon Hill, from Think and Grow Rich. He goes, the starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this consistently in mind. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat.
It's really good.
And so what he's saying there is it's not, and I believe this is another quality of achievement, another quality of excellence, is having a particular desire to be excellent.
Absolutely.
Having this, and not just to be excellent, but being defined in your, like, what do you want to be excellent in? Why do you want to be excellent in it? And then what routines, what habits are you going to instill in yourself to be able to do that? And all that is driven by that desire.
Yeah.
Where there's no desire, there's like you said, like if it's just a small flame, there's not much going on. But if you have a strong desire, one that you feel like you can't live without, that you feel like, man, I gotta grow here. I gotta grow here. I gotta seek this out. I have to talk to these people. I have to start these new routines, in order to get to that point in the future that I'm visualizing, that vision that I have for my life.
That's so good.
And like, I'm going to share my, like, right now, like, I feel like my vision, I was thinking about this earlier this morning, actually. It popped up in my head as like, because I talk about my vision a lot, about, like, what's my, like, I never really thought about the vision for my life as a whole. But this morning it popped, I feel like God gave it to me. Like, it popped in my head because I talk about it with my, well, I shouldn't say it's not my team. I talk about it with the production team that I lead, for Inspire Collective at our church, Amplify. And I tell them the vision for the team is for them to essentially not need me. But really what it is, and like, that's true, but like I thought about it as like, well, let's make that more defined. What does that really mean? For them not to need me means that they actually exceed me.
That's good.
And that like, even if I'm not there, there's still a solid team, and that each one of those people there, like I'm able to pour into, is then able to go out and could lead other teams, have the ability to lead more teams and grow more. I plant seeds in them, and they plant seeds, in others. And of course, I don't expect that the only seeds they're planting are because of me. That's ridiculous. But but I do believe there are things that I can instill as a leader in people, that in the people I lead and in the people around me, that then that will just take root in them, cause fruit, and then cause more seed.
Well, that's good.
And that's the vision for my life, is to be continuously growing, so I can continuously grow others. And I have to be first. That's where leaders first. And that's where the last first shall be last, and last shall be first.
That's so true and good.
Leaders go first, but then put others above them.
You have to have that servant heart. That's where it comes down to. And I feel like you said, one thing I love that you just said recently was that you want, as a leader, you want to be that your people you're leading under you to become better than you.
Yeah.
That's the goal of a leader. Like, if you think about, like, Moses, right? Moses was an amazing leader. What happens when Moses passes away? Moses didn't go to the promised land, but Joshua did, you know?
Yeah.
And when Moses was with God, and then Moses left the area, Joshua would linger later. Joshua became a better leader because he had an excellent leader.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, it comes down to leading with excellence will cause other people to have excellence, you know? And the people who have excellence under you will lead other people to excellence. And it's just like I said, like a generation of wealth.
Right. And I'm going to say this, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
Moses wasn't perfect either.
Yeah.
Right. He was an excellent leader, but he was not a perfect leader.
Yeah.
He made that's why he didn't get to go to the promised land.
Yeah.
Because he messed up, and God was like, "Sorry, man.
Yeah.
like I promised you this, but you broke the pact. You broke the covenant."
Yeah.
But yeah. So with that said, we can just wrap up quickly by saying the qualities that we've talked. We're wrapping up by talking about just saying the qualities that we talked about.
Okay.
First, one quality that is not of excellence is perfection.
Yeah.
But why don't you read off your list again?
Okay. Qualities of excellence: discipline, conviction, honesty, humility, sacrifice, influence, teachable, humble, and leader.
Yeah. And guys, if you like this episode. Definitely share it out on all of your social medias.
Absolutely. 5 stars.
Give us a 5-star review. And guys, we love you. See you next time.
Love you guys.